The Nintendo Switch 2 is here, and it's been a massive launch with many queuing around the world to get their hands on Nintendo's latest and greatest. But don't take that to mean anything. Even the Wii U had a somewhat successful launch. It's only been a few days of time with the system and its launch titles, so this won't be fully in depth, but let's see how good this new console is and how it upgrades the previous Nintendo Switch, and if there is truly enough for power increase to make it an easier time for developers. This is a Game Dev Reviews Nintendo Switch 2 First Impressions. Many have said that this is Nintendo's first sequel console. Huh, really? But where the Switch 2 is different is that it doesn't have some big gimmick to sell the system. Yeah, like we really wanted more gimmicks in gaming. The Switch 2 is simply the Switch, but bigger. Better is yet to be seen. Comparing the Switch 2 to the Switch OLED, you can see the size increase. And if you're coming from a Switch Lite, good luck with that. Now, having a bigger screen is always nice in my opinion, but you've still got to make that comfortable to hold, and they seem to have managed this. At least for me, I find the Switch 2 to be more comfortable to hold than the Switch OLED. The bigger size definitely fits in my hands better. But these size increases really start to put a question to the word portable at a point. Now, I remember being able to fit everything gaming related into one pocket. And especially older handhelds like the 3DS, PS Vita, even the Switch Lite. Some people definitely tried with the original Switch model as well, but you would be over to carrying it around in a case for most people. And because of the bigness of the Switch 2, you're going to need a new case. While we're on physical differences, the Joy-Cons. The new Joy-Con 2s are way more comfortable for adult hands than the Switch Joy-Cons ever were. The new way of attaching them magnetically is really satisfying, and they seem to hold on strong enough to not cause any worry about the console flying away. Just like the Switch 1, the Switch 2 comes with a Joy-Con grip for using the Joy-Cons as a traditional controller for TV mode. The grip was never the most comfortable thing, but they seem to have made it worse in one area: sharp edges. The new grip needs to have room to connect and disconnect the new Joy-Cons from the side. This means they got rid of the curved side on the grip, and it is now just a flat piece with sharper edges. Not a massive issue, but it sure made me happy I got the last Pro Controller available at the store. And speaking of the Pro Controller, this thing might be the best feeling controller I've ever used. It somehow feels soft, the buttons are in all the right places, and the sticks. Smooth and silent. It's perfect, just needs analog triggers, and we've got the best controller. In other controller news, this just in, my own personal annoying issue with the Switch 1 controllers disconnecting from the system by the time I reach the seat has seemingly been fixed. The Switch 2 controllers are now much more reliable over a medium range distance. Up next is Finn with mousing around. Thanks Finn. Now, the Joy-Con 2's biggest new addition comes in the form of an optical sensor that allows them to be used as mice. Add the included wrist straps, which have these special pieces of plastic to make the Joy-Cons glide smoothly across a desk. The only issue reported so far is severe hand cramping, so let's just hope that USB mice or 3D printing experts get on this as soon as possible. This has been Controller News, good night. So the system itself, we have a slightly bigger 1080p LCD display, which is a shame as keeping OLED would have gone great with the new addition of HDR support. The screen also has a variable refresh rate that can go as high as 120Hz. This is excellent news for developers, as while the Switch 2 is, let's be honest, never going to hit 120fps in most games, the variable refresh rate will definitely help to keep things appearing smooth, even when there is some frame drops. This means developers can have a bit more room for leniency on optimization. This doesn't mean they don't have to optimize, it just adds a bit of room for edge cases. Or at least it would, if VRR was supported for dock mode. The dock, while nicely upgraded with cooling, seems to only have a HDMI 2.0 connection. While this allows for a 4K 60Hz HDR output, 4K and 120Hz at the same time is impossible. And while VRR could definitely be possible on the connection, Nintendo isn't supporting it in the software. It's still nice, however, to finally see Nintendo embracing a 4K output and even the option for 120Hz, even if it is at lower resolutions. But the older port definitely adds some little minor annoyances, such as display resolution having to change when a game wants to use a high refresh rate. Overall though, docked mode is significantly more improved than the first Switch. 4K support, 120Hz support, HDR support, and a variety of options in the system settings to tweak is everything we could have asked for. Everything. Go away. This is probably a good place to discuss the power of the system. While this has always been a question with new Nintendo consoles, it matters more this time. Nintendo aren't the only handheld around now. So, is the Switch 2 finally giving us the portable PS5 everyone wants? I am not counting that. But even if I don't include it as competition, for the market it probably is. And with Microsoft declaring everything being an Xbox, especially those last two. So there is now something that could be described as competition from the other big two. And that's before counting the real competition of PC handhelds. The most popular at the moment being the Steam Deck. Well, all of them offer the same idea. PC games with PC graphics on the go. This is the quality that Nintendo is going to have to match, at least for third-party games that could be released on all platforms. So, what do we have? Pretty good, for now. Yeah, so the Switch 2 can already be seen to outperform a lot of the PC handheld competition right now, but that's now. Switch 2 will likely last another 8 years or so, whereas PC handhelds are getting upgrades all the time. And then compare the Switch 2, already lacking in TV play performance when compared to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. No one expected a little tablet to perform or look as good as the big boys, but for developers, it means there is still extra work to almost build a last-gen version of their games. But Nintendo's not alone with this. The Xbox Series S could be the saviour for third-party support on the Switch 2. The quality and performance is closer between these two systems, so if developers are supporting the Xbox, then Switch 2 wouldn't be too much extra work. Of course, this all remains to be seen. It's only a few days after launch and anything could happen. It could also be possible that the launch titles are just really well optimised, and every other release will be back to Xbox 360 quality. In terms of how well I think the Switch 2 will be in the eyes of game development, I think it will be a promising option. The launch has already shown a big interest in the system, so the players are there, and the power is outperforming other PC handhelds that new releases are running fine on. And with the Xbox Series S already causing developers to cut down their games for weaker hardware, Switch 2 should get the same level of support. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to what makes money, not the power of the console. If Black Ops 6 would have made a load of cash by releasing on the Wii, they'd find a way to do it. So what are my thoughts on actually playing the thing? Well, it's certainly a Nintendo Switch 2. It is definitely a similar time as I had with the original Switch, sometimes too similar, to the point where you kind of forget it's a new generation. I mean, the UI is practically the exact same. Handheld mode is much more comfortable for me. Battery life has not been an issue, and it vastly outperforms PC handhelds in that area. For docked mode, higher resolutions are very nice on bigger displays, and the Pro Controller is near perfection. It is indeed a Nintendo Switch, but better. I think it's earned that. Alright, let's say it. The prices. The console price is high, but it's not unreasonable for modern gaming. And with the increase in specs, I think it's fine. Buying the Pro Controller definitely brought tears to my eyes, but controllers have been pricey for years. Nothing new there. But then there's the games. Now, talking to someone who's experienced the gaming industry, I kinda get it. Hear me out. Developers and publishers are spending more than ever to put games out. Higher quality games means longer development times, and when I say higher quality games, I might not mean the actual gameplay quality, but certainly in visual fidelity. All of that means more to pay out. On top of staff, they also have to pay for servers, maintenance and development hardware, all of which has gone up in price. So it does make sense to see the price increase. But £75 for Mario Kart is a little bit excessive. So, for the Switch 2's first impression ratings. A quality rating, describing its build quality and software stability. It gets a 4 out of 5 star rating. Losing out on 1 for the sharp edges on the grip and the 2 system crashes I've had so far. Next up, a visuals rating, describing the visual quality of the games. For this, it gets 4 out of 5 stars. Losing 1 for lacking docked VRR and an OLED display, but gaining the rest for an otherwise excellent handheld experience and great looking games when docked through the use of DLSS. Performance rating is next, a showcase for how well games perform on the system. It gets 5 out of 5 stars. Every game released so far has solid performance, with Cyberpunk even beating some PC handhelds. And finally, business rating, describing how well Nintendo has managed the business side of the system and the game releases. For this, it gets 4 out of 5 stars. The launch had a large amount of stock around the world, providing a much better experience when compared to previous console releases from Sony and Microsoft, and only 1 star is lost for the game pricing. Thank you for watching this episode of A Game Dev Reviews. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like and subscribe for much more content to come.